Another little installment in our 12 basic needs. Need number 2, the need for pleasure. Need for pleasure is hardwired into our brains by God. God wired our brains to want to experience pleasure and not to experience pain. Of the 6 chemicals our brains release, 4 of them are pleasure chemicals: oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, and dopamine. Our brain releases these chemicals when we experience things that bring pleasure to us. This makes us want to do these activities again because they were pleasurable, and our brain reinforced it with those chemicals. The opposite is true when we experience pain. Our brain will do a number of rapid things in rapid response that are made to return our bodies and our mind to a pleasurable state. Let's take the jumping into an ice bath. When you jump in an ice bath, immediately our brain makes us take a deep breath. We get that. And then our brain automatically increases our heart rate. It makes our breathing more rapid. It releases cortisol and adrenaline into our veins to try to get things moving faster for us. Our brain tells our muscles to contract rapidly, to shiver. This rapid contraction and expansion of our muscles is made to create heat inside of our body. Our brain is doing whatever it can to bring us back to a place of pleasure and safety. A pleasurable state is something that we are constantly desiring as humans. Our brain is hardwired to enforce these pleasurable experiences. So, are we experiencing pleasure in healthy or unhealthy ways? There's many ways to experience pleasure. Some of them are not good for us. Healthy pleasure is a state where I am focused on long-term happiness, not short-term fixes for life and just short-term things that cause these chemicals to be released. Seeking unhealthy pleasure is all focused on the here and now. It's all about feeling good in the moment. It makes me feel better now, but later on, I don't feel so well. And seeking pleasure in these ways is really not good for me. So what's wrong with me? Why don't I seek long-term pleasure instead of short-term fixes? What's going on inside of us? I think a lot of it goes back to our childhood and how we were taught to experience pleasure as a child. When we were children and we were not taught to focus on long-term happiness, but only short-term things that fix us, something happens and we go get a donut. Something happens and we get an extra toy where our parents go buy us, or something. Short-term fixes, not long-term relational things that really help. I think that stuff hardwires us to seek that same kind of stuff as adults. I think when we've experienced trauma as a child, it also messes up our ability to seek pleasure as an adult because we don't know what it really is supposed to look like. That trauma has caused things that go on in our brains where we have sought to just medicate just to not feel and sense the trauma. And it's really not focused on long term. It's very short term focused, but it keeps us able to survive. And we don't want to survive life, we want to thrive in life. We want to have pleasure. Long-term pleasure is thriving, not surviving. We were not given the tools as a child when we live those kind of lives, so that's part of the reason we don't do it as an adult. We don't have the toolbox. We got a couple tools in the toolbox, and that's all we got. That's all we know. That's all what we're going to use. It's not until someone teaches us there is a better way, and we have more tools we can use. So what kind of things happened as a child that caused us to not be able to experience pleasure in healthy ways as an adult? Well, parents were too busy to be involved in our fun and play. Life was all work and no play. Our parents used screens to distract us instead of connecting with us. Unsafe environments at home, school, sports, church that were not dealt with by our caregivers. Parents didn't address teasing, humiliation, bullying, These were experiences we had and they were never dealt with. Parents had unrealistic expectations of us. The child wasn't allowed to enjoy play. Life was way too serious. Parents were workaholics. Child's interests were ignored or even made fun of. Oh, it's stupid, look what he wants to do, right? Didn't engage with us. The child felt they didn't live up to their parents' expectation. The home lacked healthy affection. The child was actually taught to experience pleasure in unhealthy ways. Because of my trauma, I was taught to experience pleasure in unhealthy ways. When I was sexually abused as a child, porn was introduced to me at 6 years old before the sexual abuse happened. It was enjoyable. So I got introduced to things that were pleasurable but really weren't good for me, were way out of bounds for my age, and caused me a lot of issues as a young adult, and still some issues as an old adult. Some of them aren't all gone away yet. So what are some ways we try to meet our pleasure needs as adults in unhealthy ways because of what went on as a child? What are those ways? What are those things that go on? What are they? Shopping, right? Not mine. Purchasing, controlling. Oh man, I was a control freak. I wanted to control everything and everybody to keep me safe, to make me feel in a pleasurable state for a long time in life. Drinking, taking drugs, sex, porn, scrolling, things with now, right? Gaming, binging on Netflix, living in a fantasy world, fantasy sports, just zoning out, just checking out of life, right? Just, I'm not here. Hobbies, physical fitness. Physical fitness was one, the runner's high, right? I rode 15,000 to 16,000 miles a year on a bicycle for 12 years of my life, trying to experience that high, to experience pleasure, to keep myself in a safe state. Wasn't good for me, wasn't good for my relationships, wasn't good for my family. But it was the only tool I knew. It kept me alive. Didn't thrive. I survived. Not anymore. I want to thrive today. I don't want to just survive. I want to be in a pleasurable state today. So what kind of things in life look like healthy pleasure today? Long-term focus. What does that look like? Do we even know what that looks like? Didn't for a long time. Our greatest pleasure in life also brings about our greatest hurt and area we can experience pain in life. It's relationships. We were made to be relational. We experience our greatest enjoyment, our greatest pleasure in life in healthy relationships. Having fun, playing, not focused on winning, not just about the competition, because that takes it all back to that short-term thing, just the endorphins being released, but we're focused on the relationships that we're building inside of there. We want to engage in fun and play. We want to enjoy other people. We want to figure out who we really are and then live out our authentic self. For most of my life, I didn't know who I really was. I didn't really know who I was made to be. I didn't find pleasure in myself. I didn't like myself. So no matter how much other people around me liked me or told me I was great or whatever else, it never sunk in because I didn't like myself. Didn't know how to experience long-term pleasure because I didn't like the me that was. I didn't really know the me that was. I've come to a place where I know who I am. And I actually like me. I don't have it all together. I'm not all fixed. I still got issues. Still got problems in relationships. But I like who I am. God created me unique to serve a purpose, to be engaged with other people. I like the me that is today. So, finish this up. A couple questions to ponder. How do you think your pleasure need not being met in a healthy way as a child has affected how you feel about yourself? How has it affected the way you feel about the people around you? About having relationships with them? How has it affected the way you feel about God? About how you want to have a relationship with God? That's a big question, isn't it? Question number 2. How did your understanding about how to experience pleasure as a child affect the way you seek pleasure as an adult? Wow, that second one. Until I learned new tools, I used my old tools. They kept me alive. They kept me moving along life, but I was not thriving. I was not experiencing a pleasurable life. I did not have the abundant life. I now have new tools. I want to give it to you new tools. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. I'd like to hear from you.